What you're looking at is the most powerful being on planet Earth.
I will not accept that.
Gotta get back to the fray.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. We have a brand new Superman trailer they just released in shiny HD footage. There were a couple potato quality versions of this, but now we have way better audio and better video for this. So we'll break it all down. There's a bunch of Easter eggs here. We get more Lex Luthor voiceover and more of a couple of his big fight scenes through the movie. There's going to be a bunch of them. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're also going to start a ticket giveaway as soon as they do start selling tickets. I think that's going to be next week too, so we might even get some more new footage next week. Not to be outdone by the Fantastic Four's massive Galactus popcorn bucket, Superman seems like it's going to have some crazy popcorn buckets. I would totally give some of those away if I had a chance at actually buying them. It's always so hard to actually get those. There are a couple other tie-in Easter eggs that they've done as part of their marketing campaign in some of the junior novelization, which I think are supposed to be canon to the actual story, so we'll explain those when they're relevant for some of the characters during here. But for example, the novelization actually explains that Superman, because he's been acting as Superman, like he's actually come out publicly with his Superman identity. Lois Lane has already given him the Superman name, and he's been active for a while, and he's already fought a version of Metallo in this universe that Lex Luthor was also behind. So he's already been dealing with a lot of the stuff that Lex Luthor has been trying to do to get rid of him or replace him or control him. But starting at the beginning of the trailer, we get that new voiceover of Lex Luthor that we've seen in the previous trailers, but now actually him speaking to his henchmen around him here. When he tells them all, you're actually looking at the most powerful being on the planet, obviously talking about Superman. Not clear exactly which fight he's in. He's either in the middle of fighting the kaiju here, or he's in the middle of fighting the Hammer of Baravia. Both fights, I think, are meant to happen a little bit earlier in the movie. But Lex Luthor is meant to be behind both of those two different threats. Now, the Hammer of Baravia is a bit more of an Easter egg. Like, there's a bit more going on there behind the scenes. But one of the first real big Easter eggs here is the henchman that's sitting to his left. Notice the haircut, very special kind of haircut there. That's because this is James Gunn's real-life friend, Stephen Blakeheart, who actually appears in a bunch of his Guardians of the Galaxy movies as a Ravager character. He appeared during the holiday special. He shows up in a bunch of James Gunn's stuff. So it's just funny to see him put his friends in background roles with really, really funny haircuts. It's one of the reasons why he was able to get Nathan Fillion to do the Guy Gardner bowl cut from the comics.
Hey, loser. You're a loser.
There are a lot of special cameos in the background, some of them more secretive than others, like Michael Rosenbaum revealed that he has a secret cameo scene. It's voiceover only, but because his voice is pretty identifiable, we'll recognize his voice pretty quickly. Michael Rosenbaum, also a longtime friend of James Gunn, shows up in a lot of his movies too, because he has been Martinex in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies for many years. Would be amazing to see him show up as a multiverse version of Lex Luthor, but I'm not really expecting a whole lot of multiverse stuff during this Superman movie. The closest I think we actually get to multiverse concepts are the quantum unfolding spaces that they actually introduced during Peacemaker Season 1. It's in the Peacemaker Season 2 trailer, and it's a different place that Lex Luthor seems like he controls here in this other trailer footage where he traps Superman briefly. Basically the exact same type of technology that Peacemaker's father had that he created his weapons locker with. Same basic idea. But I don't think this is going to be a path to him doing any like DCEU Henry Cavill or like any crazy multiverse Easter eggs. I think it's just there, and maybe way down the road things could change there. But we do know this Superman fight scene in front of the building with the Hammer of Baravia is meant to be a little bit earlier in the movie. I've already talked about how his suit looks like it's inspired a little bit by the designs of the Nuclear Man during Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Bit of a deep cut in the franchise. Like, you don't have to absolutely watch it, but there are actually a couple of plot twists from that movie that James Gunn is borrowing for plot twists during the new Superman movie. Not only the look of his costume here, like his star looks like the Nuclear Man's costume, but also the idea that it seems like based on this description of the character for the Hammer of Baravia, he has the exact same power levels as Superman. Isn't that weird? I think the rumor that Superman clone that Lex creates, played by David Corenswet like in dual roles, like it's just two different versions of David Corenswet on screen, is also the person inside that Hammer of Baravia suit, and that's why he has the same powers as Superman. Like, he has heat vision that he's trying to blast him with, and blast it into the Chacos company here. Big Martian Manhunter Easter egg.
They've called me the Martian Manhunter.
This whole building that you see him fly up is the Lord Tech building, so we also might go into the building a little bit later when we meet Maxwell Lord and the Justice Gang characters like Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific. They seem like they actually team up with Superman during the kaiju fight, though, and what's happening in the other country, the Baravia country, that's also tied to this Hammer Baravia character, but also really secretly just Lex pulling the strings from behind the scenes, orchestrating this foreign war that's going on. Not totally clear why he's orchestrating this war that's going on. Maybe there's just something that he wants inside the country. He wants the country for some reason. During the kaiju fight, when he saves the woman, there's been a lot of talk about the physics of this scene. Like, wouldn't she be liquefied during this? Well, I'm just guessing superhero movie logic here. But in the background, there's another Easter egg for Big Belly Burger. Big Belly Burger appeared all over the CW Arrowverse shows like The Flash, Arrow, everywhere, all the time. As of me making this video, I have not eaten all day, and now I am super hungry. Somebody go give me some Big Belly Burger. Maybe DC will do a pop-up during Comic-Con. They've done that in previous years. There's that funny back and forth of Steve Lombard and Clark Kent Superman making fun of each other. You're a loser. You're a loser. And we get the news scene of Cat Grant asking Lois Lane about the quote-unquote new guy she's seeing who's a little bit strange that she likes. Like, oh, I like strange. They actually explained that Lois and Clark have been going out for a little while when the movie picks up, and he's already secretly revealed his identity as Superman before the events of the movie. Like, we're not going to see that go down unless they do a flashback to it. One of the many important details about their whole relationship is that Lois Lane is the person who gave him the Superman name. She called him Superman for the first time. You notice during their big fight here at Metropolis Stadium, it's the Meteors Stadium. There are a couple professional sports teams in Metropolis that Superman is a fan of. Also in the background, a lot of the advertisements around the park are Easter eggs for big DC things. Soda Cola is one of the big ones, but it also seems like Maxwell Lord's company owns the stadium itself, like it's Lord Tech Metropolis Meteors Stadium. There's been a lot of different fight footage of them in the stadium here with him going up against that evil version of Superman. It just seems like they wail on each other. And notice it seems like the engineer tries to tag team Superman with him because you actually see this evil Superman in the black suit, Ultraman, over in the background on the ground after Superman takes him down and then goes up against the engineer. You also see Mr. Terrific, who just seems like he got laid out by the engineer in the background too.
Nanites, courtesy of Ray Palmer.
Nanites courtesy of Ray Palmer were not enough to stop her nanites. There's a lot of nanites going around this movie from a lot of different characters. Based on tie-in merch, it also seems like Lex Luthor creates the kaiju because there's a toy of him with a baby kaiju, like Lex's baby kaiju. So all the many threats and fights that it seems like he has during the trailer, like the different creatures or beings that he fights, seems like they all are based on just things that Lex Luthor tries to throw at him. Which does make a lot of sense, like the actual nature of the movie is fairly simple. Superman trying to get rid of and destroy Superman, tear him down, get the world to actually hate him in many, many different ways. And a big part of the movie is just showing you how smart Lex Luthor is and how many tricks he has up his sleeve, how many different ways he tries to take on Superman. Not totally clear what all this collateral damage is going on in the background here, if this is during his fight with the Hammer of Baravia or it's during the kaiju fight. It could be either, because it does seem like they do destroy a lot of the city during this. This is all meant to be taking place in Metropolis, obviously. There's also this brand new scene of him trying to stop the building from toppling. Seems like it's happening as part of this larger scene of all the buildings slowly falling over during the fight. There's another scene of him with what looks like the evil version of Superman in the black suit, just like wearing a different suit later in the movie, even though there are a lot of different Easter eggs baked into that suit itself too. Ultraman, as they're calling him in the merchandise, not the Ultraman from the Crime Syndicate that most people think of when they think of Ultraman in the DC universe. There was also a different scene in the janky potato quality footage where you see a better shot of Lex Luthor in front of the Kryptonian console inside the fortress, where it seems like he tries to take some message or something that he uses against Superman in the public, one of his next ways to try and tear him down in the public. If you listen to the longer preview footage where Krypto was actually dragging him in during the middle of one of his fights where he just seems like he got his ass handed to him and he's just bleeding out and the robots heal him, there's actually voiceover from what sounds like Jor-El talking to Lara in Kryptonian. and it does sound a lot like Bradley Cooper, so I think the rumors that Bradley Cooper is going to be James Gunn's Jor-El in the DCU are actually true now. There's also a little bit more footage of him in the Fortress of Solitude with Krypto biting his ankles as he's trying to walk around, and he just turns and yells at the dog. It's meant to be a very relatable scene. Like, if you've ever dealt with small dogs like that just do not behave, it's just meant to be like that.
Did I hear Steve? I'm strange. Stop, sit. Oh, I like strange.
I've already talked about how David Corenswet has said that during the events of the movie, Superman is really just kind of dog-sitting Krypto temporarily. He didn't outright completely say what that plot is, but I think the idea is that Krypto is really Supergirl's dog, and she'll have a cameo at the end of the movie at some point or in the post-credit scene where she shows up to pick up her dog, essentially, because I think that Krypto might also be featured in some part in the Supergirl movie because he is in the comic book that they're adapting for that movie. I think they're just leaning really hard on Krypto for a lot of the Superman marketing because of the way he fits into this actual movie. Mostly for comedic reasons, but also James Gunn, huge dog person, modeled after his dog Ozu, like that's why he wrote him into the movie, is Krypto. So part of the idea is they will also probably get you to care about Krypto if you don't already, like if you're not already a dog person. Not totally clear what's going on in this scene with Mr. Terrific taking Lois Lane into Lex Luthor's pocket dimension, but it just seems like he uses his technology to do that. Maybe they help Superman. Maybe this is when Superman gets trapped by Lex Luthor in that place. There was another big Easter egg from behind the scenes that they revealed. This girl in yellow that's been in all of the trailers they've released so far with Superman saving her from the giant kaiju fight is actually played by the real-life daughter of the stunt coordinator for the movie. There have been a lot of cases like this where you find out that like crew members will just use their kids for certain parts in a movie. Like, we need somebody to stand here while we have this big green screen attack happening. Like, please just stand here for a little while and be this person. Then this tag scene in the trailer where he tells Robot 4, played by Alan Tudyk, they released a separate trailer for that, just explaining how they made the robots physically, but there is a combination of CG, motion capture, and practical effects. Where he says back to the fray, I think is happening right after they heal him with the sun. I've already talked about that scene too, like why does he scream in pain if the sun is meant to make him more powerful? The whole idea is that Robot 4 tells the other robots to crank up the level of the magnifying glass, the intensity of the sun's rays, to way, way beyond anything that you would normally see. So the idea is that he's screaming in pain because it's healing his broken bones. So it's actually the bones themselves that are knitting that actually causes him all the pain. They only briefly touched on this during the Henry Cavill era of Superman, during Zack Snyder's Justice League, Man of Steel, that kind of stuff. Like, he still did experience pain during that, but they're actually digging a little bit deeper during the James Gunn movie, where you do actually see him bleed. Like, does he bleed? Yes, he does bleed a lot.
You will.
In the comics, Superman does feel pain like anybody else. It's just that he's so powerful, it just takes a lot of force to actually deal him any kind of damage. Kind of like the level of force from somebody who has the exact same power levels, which seemingly supported the idea that Lex Luthor found some way of actually cloning him and then growing that clone super fast, like baked it in the oven super fast, probably inside that pocket dimension of his. There are a couple other side Easter eggs too with this tie-in material, like we see him in the background of this other trailer creating kryptonite, which is a comic book thing, like he can actually turn his body into kryptonite and hurt Superman. But it seems like based on the tie-in material, he is a good person, which is true to the comics. Like, he is a normal, like, hero character. He actually helps the heroes. But in the context of this movie, you actually notice in the cell right next to them, the girl in the dress is Sapphire Stagg, his wife, the mother of his son, Baby Joey, who we see all the tie-in material for. It basically says that Lex Luthor is holding Baby Joey hostage, forcing to help him attack Superman. Would not be surprised if Lex Luthor is also trying to take over this foreign country in Boravia because they find kryptonite there, and that's why he wants the resources of the country. If there's any other Easter eggs or references that you spotted during this new footage that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. There are a lot of things packed into this. Hopefully we'll see some more Easter eggs for Metallo and like some of the other threats and villains that he's faced in the past too, that we won't actually see during the movie itself. They also just started doing a lot of Daily Planet tie-in social media promotion, so hopefully there'll be some more Easter eggs they reveal in Daily Planet news releases. Like, they'll just do it as if it's a Daily Planet newspaper they're releasing each day. Really easy way to reveal a bunch of Easter eggs about the movie that won't be like a really big presence in the actual film itself in theaters. During the Henry Cavill era, they started to slowly get into Daily Planet stuff. Had they have done legit Man of Steel 2, Man of Steel 3, we probably would have seen way more of the actual Daily Planet stuff. I literally just did a video about Christopher McQuarrie talking about his secret Man of Steel movie that he had actually cooked up with Henry Cavill back during that Justice League debacle, the Justice League era. Click here to learn about that, and click here for my other brand new Green Lantern video. There have been a bunch more trailers that James Gunn has released. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.